That's exactly what we'll be doing for the next few minutes. And let's start off in Nigeria. Particularly, let's go straight to the Punch newspaper. As we hit you with the Punch, of course, you feel no pain, most importantly. That front page there has all the big stories that we'll be talking about at this moment. Let's quickly let you in on the very first one, the one at the top there. It says Niger ECOWAS demands a shorter transition period from junta. Do recall that they had given a period of time in which they would return back to democracy. But of course, ECOWAS says even if they're not going to invade, they're looking at a shorter period for the transition to take place. External reserves fall by 900. I'm talking about big.
That looks like 915.
Yeah, 915 million
dollars after Naira.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's what it is. That's what the external reserves has fallen into after Naira float.
So well, we all hope that the Naira float would have been a good idea for the Naira, but it just seems like everything has gone downhill since the Naira float, and that's why CBN, of course, is doing the oil for cash deal, and we don't even know how this is going to affect the Naira. Is it really going to strengthen the Naira?
No ideas. Well, that's one story you might want to read. You can find it inside of the Punch, as rightly said. You find it there, and take a look at what it has to say. You find it on page 21. Let's go straight to another story. Cash shortage, bank borrowing from CBN hits 12 trillion naira. Page 19 has that story. A Cameroon dam opening. Evacuates to prevent deaths. Federal government states warn flood-prone communities. NEMA advises governors on evacuation. Nasarawa Taraba set up IDP camps. Others. Anambra orders evacuation in affected areas. Flood sweeps away 2 children already. And if you did join us in the first hour, we were talking to a representative all the way from NEMA who had joined us here on the program. And we discussed extensively on what are the modalities that have been put in place. Mr. Laden, who happens to be the head of operations in NEMA, said there's a lot that's being done, but definitely we hope to see these plans, even though they said they've communicated these plans to the stakeholders, to every community, and the likes. Let's move on straight to the front page there. Servicing debt with 90% revenue path to destruction. Tinubu tells NBA. You can see President Bola Ahmed Tinubu there shaking hands with Tony Elumelu. There it was the opening of the Nigerian Bar Association. Of course, the event has started yesterday. Let's quickly move on to the next stories very, very quickly. Banks, 18 others fined 125 million naira for late filings, I beg your pardon, for late filings. Banks, 18 others fined 125 million naira. Senator's aide, murder cases take time to resolve. Police reply, family. This senator's aide that died, this story continued to trickle in and then became a major point of discussion last week when they said those who committed the acts, the nefarious acts, were soldiers, allegedly soldiers. And now they're hoping that the police will jump on it and get it solved immediately.
ASAP, yeah.
I am loyal to Obaseki, still want to be governor, Shuaibu says. But that's all you have.
That's a very interesting story there. In Edo State, the clash between the governor and the deputy governor, or the media clash. On the one hand, Obaseki says, from what we hear, he says Shuaibu is running a parallel government while he's still in office. Shuaibu is saying, I still have my own ambitions, but I still want to run.
Yeah.
But I'm still loyal to you. Can't both my ambition and my current position run simultaneously? It just reminded me of what's his name, William Ruto, Kenya, when he was vice president and still running for president, but whilst in office he was quote unquote running.
And you had that here in
well.
Nigeria too,
Yeah.
Professor Yemi Osibajo, who was going for president.
Yes,
he was still
in office.
the vice president as well. But in this case, well. Anyway, read up. You'll find out more stories.
Exactly. Let's move away from the Punch newspaper to the Business Day newspaper. On the front page of the Business Day, you can see the big story. Tinubu under pressure as job-creating sectors struggle. We still have here as well on the front page, the top of the paper says, unemployment, MBS shouldn't ruin its reputation with questionable data. And this is a very important story because last week a top story broke, and the story was that unemployment had dropped to about, I think, 4.1% since Tinubu got into power, right? And people were asking, 4.1%, how? They said it is because the definition of the National Bureau of Statistics, the NBS's definition of employment, had been changed.
It's a new index.
Exactly. So it's what you're changing, reflecting the current reality of Nigerians. So what we're seeing here is they're urging the NBS not to ruin its reputation with this data that has been referred to as questionable, because the data would suggest that there's now an abundance of jobs for Nigerians who are able and willing to work. And that is not really the case in a number of Nigerians would say. Higher fees squeeze parents as schools resume. I can't imagine how this feels. This is September. Sorry, this is August. And we're gradually getting to the beginning of September, where lots of parents are going to be heaving and sighing because all the monies are going to the schools. The sad part would be that the cost of school fees has increased. The same way every other thing is increasing, school fees is also increasing.
Oh, yes.
So our hearts go out to all the parents in New Central, outside New Central, and the parents who are watching us. We hope that, we really don't know what to say. There's a story here of a 44-year-old man, father of three, says with his 76,000 naira monthly income. Like, how is he meant to live with a 76,000 naira monthly income and have three kids, pay for their school fees, feed his family? It's just unfortunate. 5 opportunities to tap from Nigeria's $296 billion blue economy. Retailers woo consumers with promos amid weak demand. You don't even blame them. Everybody's trying to sell. I think that's all the stories that we can take this morning on the Business Day. Let's head over to the Nation newspaper.
All right, so let's move on to the Nation newspaper this very morning. The front page there on the Nation newspaper says, Tinubu servicing debt with 90% revenue unsustainable. Good pay for judges will lift judiciary, says president. So the president is after ensuring that the judiciary receives remunerations that are indeed very attractive. And he says that would affect or would lift the judiciary. Many have begged to differ with that statement recently. You could also check the social media space. And many have said, I think they're still talking about the hashtag all eyes on the judiciary and so on. But then again, the NBA president himself did come out also in an interview with a media organization and said a whole lot that many have been reacting to, but quite timely, I must say, especially in line with the events. Let's move on now to another header there. It says stock market deals up by 22%. Stock market deals up by 22%. Another one there says Chamisa protests Nagangwa's victory. Chamisa protests Nagangwa's victory. That's a big story. We're going to be looking at that later on and taking our time to dissect that as well. Indian Prime Minister proposes G20 slot for AU. Okay, all right. While that is going on, don't forget that all the regional bodies, both that focus on Africa, the SADCs and African Union, you name them. Don't forget too that you do have BRICS, which is indeed becoming quite strong. And we've talked about BRICS, all through the days and weeks so far, so good. CCB begins verification of governors. Ministers claims agency to collaborate with CBN, NFIU, SEC, CAC. And that story found on page 4. Let's take one more very quickly. Nigeria loses $4 million daily to oil theft, says NSA. Yes, a high-powered team dispatched by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to assess crude oil theft in the Niger Delta uncovered illegal oil bunkering again. That was the story was over the weekend, where Nigeria, according to the NSA chief, loses $4 million. Siphoning point found in Abia. Minister Okay's pipeline protection firm Tantita's efforts. And Tantita has been, in the news for doing that job in ensuring that they continue to reveal these illegal oil bunkering points. And just this weekend, they actually saw more.
Well, we'll solve our oil theft issues. That's one of the major contributors. Maybe not the major, but it's certainly a big factor in, our current struggles in the oil sector. Whilst we're talking about refineries, oil theft is also another big conversation that we should shine the light on.
Oh, yeah.
As we wrap up the newspaper reviews, I'm about to be dry, guard you with the Guardian newspaper. On the front page of the Guardian newspaper, some of the big stories there. Federal government's estimate reduces unemployment on paper amid almost 10 million jobs deficit. Now, this sounds more like a logical headline.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yes.
Guardian will always take their time to break things down.
Exactly. Global unemployment estimates by region in percentage, youth unemployment age 15 to 24. And so if you see there's a graph that sort of explores, what exactly each position is. All right. Atiku asked Tinubu to come clean on academic featuring ingenuity. And final story, Nigeria still losing 400,000 barrels of crude oil daily, says Ribadu. That's all that we can take this morning on the newspapers. Thank you for joining us. We're on a break, and when we come back, more on Breakfast Central.